Hi, I'm Robert. I'm 36, a general surgeon, the guy who answers the phone mid-surgery if it's my family calling. And last June, at my sister's wedding, I handed her the deed to a fully paid $320,000 condo, and she laughed into a microphone and said, "Wrong area. I'm not living in that cheap part of town." In front of 180 people. I don't think people understand what it means to spend your life cleaning up other people's emergencies. Not just in the operating room, but at home too. You get good at it. You stop flinching. You learn the exact pitch of panic and how to respond before the words come. You patch the hole. You pay the bill. You stay calm because someone has to. Naomi, my little sister, learned early that I would always come through. She was the kind of kid who asked for a pony before she could spell the word horse. My parents called it vision. I called it rehearsed chaos. And I got used to being the fallback plan. My dad used to say, "You were born responsible." As if it were a compliment. As if it weren't a weight I've carried since I learned to read discharge summaries at 5 a.m., and then wire money to my sister by 9. So yeah, I bought her an Audi 3 years ago. I covered her rent for over 2. I paid for dental work, tech upgrades, emergencies that were only emergencies because she made them one. And I told myself, it's fine. It's family. But the condo? That was different. I thought it would be a turning point. A gesture. A line in the sand, but one that looked like love. The place was small, but nice. 2 bedrooms. Quiet building. 10 minutes from the hospital in a real neighborhood with actual neighbors, not influencers. I bought it in cash. Put it in my name with plans to transfer it after the wedding. A safety net with walls. A gift that couldn't be maxed out, crashed, or ignored. At the reception, the DJ stopped the music and the MC called me up. I handed her the black folio with the deed. And Naomi, without skipping a beat, held it up like a used napkin and said, "Wrong area. I'm not living in that cheap part of town." The laughter that followed wasn't nervous. It was easy. Thoughtless. Like I was the joke for even trying. Even my mother smiled. I didn't say anything. Just sat down. And something, quiet, final, shifted inside me. That night, after I took back the Audi and paused the rent transfers, there was a white envelope on my doormat. Inside, a note from Evan, her now husband. "Rob, this is from me, not Naomi." And a stack of printouts. Venmo receipts. Screenshots. Drafts of emails Naomi never sent. A list titled Ask Rob, with $signs next to each line. Hair. DJ. Open bar. Condo if I cry. She had planned it. All of it. And suddenly, I wasn't the brother giving a gift. I was the investor who finally read the books, and saw that everything was red. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was angry, though sure I was. Not even because I was hurt. What kept me up was how normal it had started to feel. To be used. To be laughed at. To be invisible right up until someone needed a signature or a card swipe or a ride home from the airport. I sat at my kitchen counter, Audi fob in one hand, the printouts from Evan in the other. And I thought about every moment that led here. Naomi calling at 2 a.m., crying over a lease she signed without reading. Me, wiring the deposit and pretending not to hear the club music in the background. Naomi texting me during a consult. "Need $400 for hair trial. Promise I'll pay you next week." She never did. Naomi, standing at my door once with a wedding Pinterest board and a muffin she didn't eat. "We just need you to keep the rent going until after the honeymoon. You know we'll figure it out." And me, nodding, exhausted, page twice mid-conversation, saying yes because saying no took more energy than I had. Every time I covered for her, I told myself it was the last. But love makes liars of us all. Until that night. Until the deed. Until she made a punchline out of a property. That morning, before I left for the hospital, I emailed my lawyer. Subject line: Family restructuring. I attached a spreadsheet I'd been updating quietly for years. Every dollar, every loan, every transfer. I asked him to draft a repayment plan. Clean. Legal. Boring in the way that forces people to pay attention. Then I called my bank and terminated the automatic $2,150 rent transfer. I removed Naomi from my insurance. Called the dealership and scheduled pickup of the Audi. Locked the garage app. Changed every account password. Deleted her fingerprint from the door sensor. By 9 a.m., I was in the OR with steady hands. By noon, my phone was vibrating with voicemails from my mom. "Robert, what are you doing? You embarrassed her." She was just overwhelmed. Then a text from Naomi. "You are sick. You ruined my wedding. Everyone thinks you overreacted." She didn't say thank you. She didn't say sorry. She just blamed me for not staying quiet. Later that week, Evan showed up again. No tie, no smile. Just bags under his eyes and a look like he'd aged 5 years in 4 days. "She told me you were just dramatic. That you liked playing hero," he said. I believed her. "I thought you liked it." He placed a folded sheet of paper on my counter. Her lawyer's letter. If you can call it that. It demanded the return of the Audi. Claimed I had stolen her wedding vehicle. Suggested I owed her an additional $50,000 to make whole the emotional shortfall of her wedding gift expectations. The return address was my parents' house. The signature? A squiggle typed in Lucida handwriting. I laughed. Not nicely. Then I handed Evan a real lawyer's letter. 1 page. Precise. Quietly terrifying. It listed the amounts, repayment schedule, and the consequences of default. $1,000 per month until the debt is repaid. 30 days to sign or we settle in court. Evan didn't blink. He read it, nodded, and said, "She's not going to take this well." "She doesn't have to," I said. "She just has to take responsibility." He nodded again. And for the first time, I believed him when he said he was sorry. The morning Naomi's deadline passed without a signed agreement, I filed the paperwork. My lawyer called it a formality. I called it finally calling her bluff. 3 hours later, she posted an Instagram story, a photo of the Audi in my garage, caption, "He stole my wedding car. Bitter much?" The comments rolled in fast. "OMG Queen, you deserve better. Can't believe he did that to you. Family can be the worst." I replied with exactly one story of my own, a screenshot of the car's registration, my name, clean and clear. No caption. The second story Naomi posted was worse. "He's harassing me now. I'm scared for my safety." That one made my hands shake, not with fear, but with the icy snap of realization. She wasn't just deflecting. She was rewriting the whole narrative. Turning debt into abuse. Turning receipts into threats. Turning me, the guy who once pulled her out of a lease she couldn't read, into a villain. I didn't respond again. I didn't have to. Because that week Evan moved out. He texted me a photo of the front door to his brother's apartment and said, "She gave me an ultimatum. I picked a couch and my conscience. I made coffee. I stared out the window. I tried not to feel victorious or bitter or sad. But I did feel something for him, a weird mix of pity and relief." That night, my phone rang. Blocked number. Naomi's voice. "You have one chance to undo this," she said. "Return the car. Cancel the lawsuit. Apologize. Or we'll make sure everyone knows what kind of brother you really are." "I am," I said evenly. "The kind who's done financing your life." She screamed. Actually screamed. Like a kid who'd been told Santa isn't real. "I gave you everything," she shouted. I let the silence stretch. "No, Naomi," I said finally. "You took everything. And now the receipts have a return policy." Then I hung up. My parents called next. This time, they didn't yell. They sighed. The kind of sigh that says you're ruining the family peace, like peace was ever real when it sat on my shoulders alone. "Just make it right," my mom said. "You're the big brother. You're the stable one." She humiliated me, I said. In public. For a home I bought for her. That was a joke. She insisted. "You're being cruel." "No," I said. "I'm being done." 2 days later, a second envelope showed up at my door. Inside, a new repayment offer. Not from Naomi, but from Evan. One sheet. Handwritten. I can't pay it all back right away. But I'm responsible for my part. $200 a month until it's gone. Whether we stay married or not. It wasn't much. But it was honest. And after years of being treated like a walking trust fund, honest felt like a luxury. I cashed the first check the next day. Then I opened a window, took a long walk, and realized I hadn't thought about Naomi in 4 full hours. Naomi didn't go quiet, she just changed tactics. If she couldn't make me the villain, she'd make herself the victim. She posted photos of herself crying on her Instagram story with captions like, "Some brothers destroy everything. You try to build a life and they rip it out from under you." One was just a blurry picture of her face with the words, "Never trusting anyone again." But what really sent the group chat into full meltdown mode was the GoFundMe. Title: Help me start over after my brother stole my future. Goal: $50,000. Description: a heartfelt paragraph about how family betrayal left her without a home, a car, or peace. There was no mention of the condo deed she rejected on a mic. No mention of the rent I paid for 2 years. No mention of the Audi I took back because it was in my name. Just a perfectly curated sob story, framed in sunset filters and soft fonts. My cousin forwarded it to me. No comment. Just a link and a stunned emoji. I didn't share it. I didn't respond. But I did click the report button. And then I emailed the platform directly with copies of the receipts, the title, and the lawsuit filing. The fundraiser was removed the next day for potential misinformation. Naomi went ballistic. She texted me 8 times in all caps. Left me 2 voicemails. The last one ended with, "You think you're untouchable because you wear a white coat? Watch me, Rob. Just watch me." What she didn't know, what none of them seemed to understand, is that I had been watching. For a decade. From the sidelines. From the surgery floor. From my apartment at 3 a.m., after wiring her grocery money and covering her dental bill. I had watched and paid and carried and covered. Quietly. But not anymore. 2 days later, my mother showed up at my apartment unannounced. She looked tired. Hair not brushed, jacket half-zipped. She walked in without asking and went straight to the kitchen like she used to when I was a resident, and she'd drop off leftovers. "Naomi's crying herself to sleep," she said, clutching a mug I hadn't offered. "Is that what you wanted?" I sat on the counter stool, hands folded. "I wanted to not be used. She's your sister." "She was my dependent," I said. "There's a difference." She flinched. "You don't mean that," she whispered. "I mean every word. Robert," she said, and for the first time her voice cracked. "You're not like this. You've always been the peacemaker." I stood. "I used to think peace was being quiet. Turns out it's being free." She stared at me like she didn't recognize the man in front of her. Then she nodded once, like I'd just told her someone died, and left without finishing the tea. I let the door click shut behind her. No apology. No defense. No begging. Just silence. And silence, I was starting to realize, is a gift too. By the time the court date was officially set, the narrative had shifted. Naomi wasn't a glowing newlywed anymore, she was a misunderstood artist, navigating financial stress and unresolved sibling trauma. At least according to the captions under her moody black and white selfies. She went private on Instagram. My mother started using words like estranged in texts to relatives. And Evan? Evan kept sending me checks. Each one labeled Debt E. He even included a note once. "I don't know how I got here either. But I'm getting out." My lawyer, a woman with the voice of a librarian and the instincts of a shark, told me the case was solid. Naomi's lawyer, on the other hand, had filed a motion accusing me of weaponizing wealth. That's right. Weaponizing wealth. "You gave her money with strings attached," the filing read, "to control and humiliate her." The moment I read that line, something snapped, not in rage, not in grief, but in clarity. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a clash of values. This was Naomi building a world where my boundaries were the offense. And I was done trying to explain that kindness isn't control when you're the only one offering it. The day of the preliminary hearing, Naomi didn't show up. Her lawyer did. Alone. Tired. Holding a folder that looked too light to contain a real defense. They requested a delay. Claimed Naomi had emotional exhaustion. The judge gave them 2 weeks. But the tone had shifted. She looked over her glasses at the empty chair beside opposing counsel and said, "Debtors do not get to ghost lawsuits." I didn't smile. But I did breathe a little deeper. That night, I walked past the Audi in my garage. I hadn't driven it since the pickup. Still smelled like her, coconut and fake leather and a faint trace of stress perfume. I opened the glove box and found one of her old lip gloss tubes, half melted. I stared at it like it might explain something. Like maybe it held the answer to how we got here. But it didn't. It was just wax and tint and broken promises. I threw it out. Then I drove the car, just around the block. It purred, smooth and dramatic, just like Naomi. It deserved better than to sit in a garage as a reminder of all the things I gave and never got back. I pulled into a quiet corner lot and took a photo. Then I listed it for sale. Not out of spite. Out of peace. Because it was never about revenge. It was about release. 2 days later, Naomi sent me a letter. Real paper. Handwritten. No return address. "You are not who I thought you were. You've changed. You used to care." I folded it. Slid it into the drawer where I keep the rest. Evan's payments, the lawyer's letters, the original condo deed she laughed at like it was a joke. Then I made dinner. For one. Bad pasta. Too much garlic. But it was mine. And it tasted like freedom. 3 weeks after Naomi went quiet, I got a notification from the court system. Default judgment granted. She hadn't signed the repayment plan. She hadn't filed a response. She just disappeared, digitally, emotionally, legally. But the system doesn't disappear with you. Now she owed me every cent, on record. Plus interest. My lawyer sent me a short message. "Judgment is enforceable immediately. Let us know if you'd like to proceed with wage garnishment." I didn't reply right away. Because I didn't know if I wanted that. Not because I felt bad. I didn't. But because I was tired of being part of her story at all. I didn't want revenge. I wanted absence. Naomi's last play came a few days later. A long post on Instagram. Black and white selfie. Caption like a novella. When you're raised to believe love is conditional, you either become the pleaser or the punisher. Some of us just want to be free. It got over 800 likes. Dozens of comments. All sympathy. All surface-level sorrow. "You're so brave. Family is the first place they break you. Cut the toxicity, queen." I didn't respond. I just opened my calendar, clicked "Reminder, sell Audi," and moved it to done. That weekend, I rented the condo out. Not out of spite, out of logic. The mortgage was already paid, but the space deserved to be lived in. A couple moved in. Young. Thoughtful. She's a pediatric nurse. He's an elementary school math teacher. They paid on time. They sent me a photo from the balcony. Sunset, mugs in their hands, one line. "We're in love with this place. Thank you for making it possible." I stared at that message for a long time. That was the kind of gratitude I thought Naomi would feel. But she didn't. And that was the moment I stopped waiting for it. At the hospital, everything stayed the same and felt completely different. I still took consults at 2 a.m. Still drank cold coffee. Still walked home with surgical tape stuck to my scrubs. But something had lifted. Not from my schedule. From my spine. That weight I'd been carrying for 10 years, the invisible line of, "You owe us because you made it," was gone. One night my mother texted, "Your sister is spiraling. This is not who we raised you to be." I read it. Didn't reply. Because here's the truth. I was raised to be useful. Not respected. To give, not to pause. To sacrifice, not to set limits. But I unlearned that. Slowly. Painfully. Thoroughly. Naomi never signed the agreement. The debt stands. The court recognizes it. I haven't started enforcement. Yet. But if she ever comes near my bank account again, it'll be my lawyer, not me, answering the door. Because I finally understand what real boundaries sound like. They don't shout. They file paperwork. The Audi sold in a day. Cash buyer. No questions. I handed over the keys, the title, and smiled. Not because it was a victory. Because it was a release. Last week, I cleaned out my drawer. The one with the receipts, the court documents, the printed texts. The Ask Rob list she never thought I'd see. I kept a few for legal reasons. But most? I shredded. Not out of forgiveness. Out of finality. Because I'm not her donor. Not her exit plan. Not her fallback. I'm her former lifeline. And she cut it with a laugh under a chandelier. I still work too much. Still answer calls at midnight. Still miss lunches and birthdays and laundry days. But now when I do, it's by choice. No one gets to guilt me into generosity ever again. Especially not the ones who made my kindness feel like a subscription service. Naomi texted once more. Just 2 words. You win. I didn't reply. Because there was never a game. Just a brother who finally closed the tab. And a man who finally logged out of a lifetime of being the family ATM. The condo stays rented. The debt stays owed. And I stay free.